there, this is Datila, and welcome to the Wrestling Time Post Show. It is Wednesday, March 12th, 2025, and no, I'm not talking about AEW Dynamite. I'm actually talking about last night's NXT Roadblock, and I'm not alone for this. Joining me for this review is none other than the renegade JJ Williams.
Hello, hello.
It's been
Got
a
all
while.
dressed up for the occasion, you know.
Yeah, you should have told me, and I would have put on mine. I would have put on my shirt. You give me the memo till like last minute.
It's all good.
So, how's your back? I'm sure your back has healed nicely since it's been a long time since you have to help me with one of these.
It actually has, but between carrying you through these reviews and work, I got me a nice little back brace and it's been doing good. My back's been holding up here lately. I don't know how it's going to feel tomorrow. I do go to work on Friday, so hopefully it won't be too damaged carrying you through this here tonight.
I'm sure it won't. All right, we got a few things to talk about. Let's kick things off talking about this winner take all match, Giulia versus Stephanie Vaquer. So I was actually really looking forward to this. I thought it was probably one of the anticipated matches of the night. But I have to say, like, I felt like this match was really short. I don't know if that's because of the time constraints of the CW network, but I just felt like this match could have been a little longer. It's like we had one commercial break, we come back, and then it's like over. So that's my one complaint.
Well, if the rumors are to be believed, Giulia was already going into this injured. So they probably wanted to keep it short so as to prevent any further damage to whatever her injury is, which could have been part of the reason for the shorter time here. If both women were healthy, if Giulia was healthy, they probably would have had a good 20 to 30 minute main event classic. To be fair, it probably wouldn't have been on TV. It would have been saved for Stand and Deliver. But because of the quote unquote injury, which I haven't heard anything more about, I don't know what it is that is supposedly injured, just that she's injured. That's probably why it was as short as it was. But I still thought it was a solid main event, solid match between these two women, regardless.
No, yeah, it was a solid match for sure. I'm just saying, I wish it would have been a little longer because I felt like it was really short. I don't know where we go from here. Stephanie Vaquer is a double champion. I'm glad that they didn't unify the titles here because I would have been like, they just made that title under unification. So,
yeah, I would have been concerned if that was the direction they were going to. Like you said, they just established this championship not even a year ago, last May at Battleground. We're coming up on Battleground here again at the end of May, Memorial Day weekend. Going to be going toe to toe with Double or Nothing for AEW. Should be interesting there. Only had two champions? Yeah, Kelani Jordan, Fallon Henley, and then Stephanie Vaquer. So Stephanie's the third champion in that title's history. So to unify it would make absolutely no sense. What I'm thinking is probably going to happen, and this is just my guess, I have no insider knowledge. You know that. Don't know if your fans know that. I'm just passionate about this brand. I see one of two options. Either she's going to defend both titles going forward, because you can always have her defend the North American title like every other week on television and then save the main title for the PLEs, and even have her do double duty on the PLEs. Jerk the curtain defending the North American title and main event with the women's title. Or I see her surrendering the North American title and it being put up for a multi-person like ladder match or scramble or something at Stand and Deliver.
I know when Diana Peraza was a double champ, she would do open challenges and she would defend either title.
Diana Peraza, whatever happened to her? Anyways.
Yeah. So, but overall, like you said, this match was a solid match. I definitely wouldn't mind seeing a rematch between both ladies when Giulia is healthy, and I'm sure we would get the banger 20-minute match between them that we know we could get.
Absolutely. hopefully whatever it is that's wrong isn't something that's going to keep her off TV for too long.
Yeah. All right. So Roadblock kicked off with the TNA Tag Team title match. It was the Hardy Boys versus Fraxiom. Wow, this was an incredible match. Honestly, this was a really great way to kick off a Roadblock. This was awesome. Like I think the Fraxiom definitely held their own against the Hardys.
Yeah, absolutely. The Hardy Boys, a lot of people are starting to clown Hardys, saying that they just don't have it anymore. With all the stuff they've put their bodies through over the last 30 years and specifically the last 25 or so when TLC really became a modern thing in pro wrestling. But last night, Tuesday, they looked like the Hardys of old. They looked like the Hardys from '01. Going in there with Edge and Christian, the Dudley Boys, the Acolytes, the New Age Outlaws. They were very reminiscent of the old school Hardys last night. I don't know if it's kudos to Fraxiom for bringing that out of them, or if they've just had it buried inside of them all along and they've just been pulling it out for special occasions. Because I don't remember the last time I saw them do that on TNA television and have that good of a match. So
The Hardy Boys still have it, and I hope that this silences the critics. I really like the dueling chants here, NXT, TNA. So
yeah,
this was great. No surprise. I'm wondering when in this partnership we're gonna get an interpromotional champion. I feel like Fraxiom would have been a good choice, but the Hardy Boys ended up retaining here.
it's gonna be the Hardys. It's gonna be Stand and Deliver. Mark my words.
Oh,
Somewhere between now and then, we're gonna get the NXT tag titles defended, and Fraxiom will get their win back. And then they'll run it back, do the rubber match, title for title. And I think that's when we get our first champion from the intermingling, the interpromotional work.
right.
And I think it'll be the Hardy Boys taking the titles from Fraxiom.
I can see that, especially because Hardy Boys, with their connection to WWE, I could definitely see that happening.
Mm-hmm. I see the rubber match being at Stand and Deliver. Where match 2 happens, I don't know. It's not going to happen at Sacrifice because we know Jeff Hardy's challenging for the X Division title in a ladder match, and Matt's part of the 10-man steel cage match. So they're not going to do it there. They have Unbreakable, which will be literally 2 nights before Stand and Deliver. Don't know if they're going to run match 2 and 3 back that quickly because then there's literally no time to promote match 3 coming out of Unbreakable on that Thursday before Mania. So it would have to be a TV match that happens at the TV tapings in El Paso on Saturday after Sacrifice. That's my guess.
Well,
Or
we
be on
just
an episode of NXT television.
we just gotta wait and see. So next we get a Jada Parker segment. She's talking to Mickie James, and Mickie James pretty much just tells her to go and take an opportunity and that she belongs at the top with Giulia. So I thought this was an interesting segment between them, because I think Jada Parker definitely has potential to be a main
Yeah,
event player in the women's division.
I do too. As a matter of fact, she's my early pick for the North American Championship.
Okay.
If Stephanie ends up relinquishing it, I could see her winning the match to crown the new champion. I don't know if she's world title ready, but I could definitely see her dominating that North American title.
I could see it too. I could see her doing at least a run with the North American title before she moves up to the women's title. Let's get a Tony D'Angelo segment. Tony D'Angelo family segment, I should say. Stax is blaming himself for what happened for Tony losing the North American title. And he got himself a 6-person tag match, himself, Rizzo, and Luca versus Izzy, Brooks, and Nico. And it seems like he's trying to prove himself to Tony D'Angelo here.
Yeah, I mean, he's always been kind of the right hand man. He's got the nickname of the underboss. When Tony isn't around, he's kind of the one that holds the family together and runs things. And I can see why he maybe feels like he let down because during the match, where Tony lost the title, he was on the apron. Tony bumped into Stacks. Stacks fell. Sean Spears was able to capitalize. So if that spot hadn't happened, would Tony have retained? So I can get why Stacks may feel like he's responsible for the loss there. Shout out to Luca Crucifino real quick, who's kind of the boss on Evolve now. He's been down there kind of scouting talent as an extension of the D'Angelo family. Be interesting to see if anything comes from that. If they end up expanding, adding new members, if Luca ends up splitting off to start his own family.
That would be interesting to see if that happens. Because didn't Luca like come in like late last year? I think.
Yeah, I think it was late last year because he was part of the breakout tournament. He was part of the same breakout tournament that I think Oba was in and Riley Osborne was in.
Okay.
Luca kind of became part of the D'Angelo family. Riley went into Chase U after that. That's right, represent girl. He fought Oro Mensa in the main event tonight on Evolve, so it's cool
Okay.
to see Riley back in there, no longer representing Chase U, obviously, but trying to find his own way. It's cool to see him back on TV. Just haven't seen Thea yet. She's the only one who hasn't appeared yet.
Yeah, I wonder where she's at.
I know she did a live event this past weekend, so they're probably trying to find the right place to work her in. We talk all the time about how the women's division is so stacked. Fighting for real estate is going to be hard now that Chase U isn't around.
Yeah. I mean, she can always go to TNA.
True, true. Wouldn't mind seeing her challenge for the Knockouts title.
Yeah, I think that would be an interesting matchup between her and Masha Samovich.
I mean, she doesn't really have a partner at this point where she could go after Spitfire, so the only thing for her to do really would be to go after Masha.
Yeah. Or since SDL Stephanie Lander is technically digital media champion, she could go after that title.
True, true. Didn't think about that.
She won the title in the divorce settlement.
That's
So
right. I forgot about that. Yes. How much more soap opera can you get? She got the championship in the divorce.
all right. Next we get Jordynne Grace versus Roxanne Perez. And this was a good match. This was a rematch, except without the title.
Yes.
Jordynne Grace got her win, and like Jordynne Grace fit seamlessly into the WWE. Like you can't even tell um that she's not a WWE homegrown talent. Like
Right.
she fits right in.
Yeah, something in my gut tells me that Jordynne Grace isn't there for a long time. She's there for a good time. I have a feeling that when the draft comes, if not sooner, she's going to be on the main roster.
Oh yeah,
I
for
think
sure.
she's just there because there wasn't any way to really fit her in for Mania. So, quick pit stop in NXT and then move her up immediately.
So you don't think she'll win any titles, in her short time in NXT?
I think it would be an injustice if she did because I don't think she's going to be there long enough to give it a good title run.
That's true.
It was kind of my whole thing with Stephanie and Giulia is like I didn't see them being around long enough to really make it worth putting the titles on them. Stephanie now may have to be kind of like a Cora Jade situation last year where Roxanne got that push because Cora got injured. If this injury with Giulia is bad enough, Stephanie may have to hold it down for a while
Yeah.
and not get brought up. But something in my gut still says Jordynne Grace is going to be with Naomi as part of this whole Jade angle.
That would really be interesting. There would be. I mean, I know they have history, with
Exactly. And I mean, Their embrace in the Rumble this year is what caused Bianca to snatch Jordynne by her hair. Like, what the F are you doing? You're supposed to be my girl and you're hugging her?
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, there's seeds there in both Rumbles.
Yeah. It would be an interesting dynamic, definitely. Naomi and Jordynne Grace.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so next we get an interesting segment with Oba Femi and the Undertaker. Undertaker tells him that he's been watching him for a while and he's impressed, and he wants him to basically go out there and defend his yard.
Mm-hmm.
He's getting that Undertaker rub.
This very much reminded me of that segment after John Cena's debut in 2002,
Mm-hmm.
where Taker bumped into Cena and kind of like gave him some props for hanging with Kurt Angle.
Oh yeah, I remember
The
that.
the one thing I was disappointed about this is that they hyped up last week that the LFG coaches were going to be there, and we saw Mickey, we saw Taker, Booker was ringside, but we didn't really see Bubba Ray. I know they did a thing with him as part of the exclusives online, but as far as like the broadcast, we didn't see him, and that kind of bummed me out.
Yeah. I wonder why they didn't include Bubba Ray in that show.
Try to drive up media on the socials because they did a thing with Fraxiom afterwards and Bubba, because who knows the Hardys better than the Dudley Boys?
Yeah. Yeah.
So Bubba kind of was like giving them a pep talk, like, hey, there's always next time. So
next, we get into the NXT Championship match, which is the match that I was looking forward to the most. Oba
gee,
Femi
what a
versus Moose.
surprise.
This was the dream match for many people, myself included.
Me included, me and Walter, and I know you know because you've been around us long enough, but me and Walter have been calling for this since Jordynne crossed the line last April, setting up her match at Battleground. And Noah always told us, let it go, let it go. It's not going to happen. It's not happening. They're not even working together anymore. Get over it. It's not going to happen. And he had to eat crow last night as he called the action of it happening in front of his eyes. Me and Walter were vindicated.
I knew going into this that Moose was going to lose, and I didn't have any problem with Moose losing. I just wanted Moose to look good, and he looked like a fucking star out there. He looked like
Absolutely.
he belonged, like he could hang with the NXT roster. Like, damn, this was a fucking great match.
And moreover, Oba looked like he could hang with other established veteran champions.
Yeah.
I think that is what this match was, more so than a showcase for Moose. It was a showcase for Oba to show the main roster, like, hey, he just hung with this dude who's Moose is what, a 10-year, 8-year vet, multi-time world champion, at least 2-time TNA champion, and he went toe-to-toe, blow for blow with this other Nigerian monster, put him on the roster. Let him go toe-to-toe with your Braun Strowmans, with your Jacob Fatus, with your Otises, with your Braun Breakers. This guy has it.
I think my favorite spot in this match was when Moose hit the superplex to Oba Femi, and then Oba Femi countered with the suplex of his own. That was sick.
Now, was it just me? Because I had the volume down because I didn't want it to be up and then us getting copyright pinged. But I could have sworn at one point in this match, the crowd was chanting, let's go Cena, Cena sucks.
I think they were.
Because one of them, I think it was Oba, hit the attitude adjustment, the Death Valley driver. And it was like just after that the crowd started doing that. And honestly, that pissed me off. Because I felt like these two dudes were laying it all on the line and the crowd was chanting about John Cena instead of focusing on the match.
It's because that move is so synonymous with John Cena these days.
I know, but still, like, I just felt it was disrespectful to the two men in the ring.
I understand you. I understand where you're coming from. Especially because Cena had nothing to do with this match.
Or either of these guys. Like,
Yeah.
seriously, like, aside from the Undertaker rub part being reminiscent of Undertaker Cena and Oba using that move, like, Cena had nothing to do with this. And it took me a little bit out of it because I felt like the crowd wasn't giving either man the respect they deserved.
Mm-hmm. All right. But this was great. This was great. This
It was.
was
It was
this
everything I wanted from the encounter,
same.
with the exception of that chant.
This was I couldn't have asked for anything better. You know, except for, obviously if Moose would have won the NXT title and brought it over to TNA, but
Well, dude,
this
could
was
you
great.
imagine if Oba takes the X Division title off of him?
Wow. There are no limits.
No, there aren't. We learned that years ago with Samoa Joe.
And when Mustafa Ali was trying to put limits on the X Division title.
Hey, in Ali I trust, but I do not trust the system.
I trust Ali too. I trust Ali as well.
I am a little bit bummed though, and I mentioned this to the guys when Moose first showed up. I am a little bit bummed he wasn't using the system music and he was using his own music.
Yeah.
I really like the system music. Even though I don't trust the system, I do like the music. So I would have rather heard them use that for him as opposed to the Moose music.
Yeah, I don't know why they have not using the system music.
They
Maybe
used
it's
it when JDC fought Lexis Keen, but they didn't use it here.
That's weird. All right, so Ava Raine has a segment backstage. First, she's talking to Fatal Influence, and Fallon Henley's like asking for her rematch. Then Ricky Saints interrupts and is basically like, why is everyone so angry? And JC Jane says that Rich Holland was right about Ricky Saints. He doesn't belong in NXT. And this leads to Ricky Saints asking Ava for a match against Rich Holland next week. All Ego Ethan Page interrupts and says NXT doesn't like outsiders like Ricky Saints here. So maybe they're setting up a feud between Ethan Page and Ricky Saints down the road.
I'm hoping that, you know, we'll get to the Javon Evans thing in a moment, but now that that seems like it's in the rear view for Ethan Page, like I'm hoping we move to him and Ricky. I liked the line about outsiders like him when Ethan Page came from the exact same company that Ricky did.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know if I'd go there, Ethan. I know the history here. I know what company y'all came from. It's the same company. Did make a whole lot of sense, but semantics.
Exactly. So I think that would make for an
Fallon has a point about her rematch. She lost that title to Stephanie and never got a shot back at it.
I don't know if those. I thought there were no automatic rematches anymore, or is that only the main roster type thing?
I'm not sure, but I still feel like I've always felt like maybe not the following show, but the next like major show, the former champion should get a something, even if it's just a number one contendership match to see if they get their title shot back. But Fallon hasn't really done anything since losing the title. It's an injustice to Fallon Henley.
Yeah, I definitely I agree. All right,
And
next
I
we
would
get
have
the
liked to have seen her do something with Mickey since Mickey was backstage, since they both represent that hardcore country.
that would be an interesting interaction. Hardcore country and just country. All right, next we get a New York City street fight. It's Ethan Page versus Javon Evans. And I have to say, like, this was a good match. I thought this was a good match between both of them. I think that Javon Evans definitely has so much potential. He definitely has a bright future ahead of him. I could see him being a main NXT mainstay before moving up to the main roster.
I do too. Now that this seems to be done, I'd like to see Javon Evans go after Sean Spears and take the North American Championship from him. Kind of use the title the way Wes Lee did.
Yeah.
You know, I totally agree with you. Javon Evans is something special. I would love to see him go to the next level. I'd love to see him cross the line as well. Challenge for the X Division Championship, whether it's Moose or Jeff Hardy coming out of Sacrifice. I know Casey Navarro has thrown out there online that he wants to fight Javon, that fans want him to fight Javon. So it would be kind of cool to see that. Casey Navarro saying that he's going to show Javon what it means to be first class. So I'd like to see him cross the line. I think there's a lot of guys over in TNA that would be good to work with Javon.
Yeah, I also think Leon Sitter, Trey Miguel.
Mm-hmm.
If Mike Bailey was still in TNA, I definitely would have think Mike Bailey would have been a good choice.
Definitely the future AEW catering champion.
So Javon Evans is victorious against All Eagle Ethan Page, and at the end, I did not like this. Those bootleg, I don't know what they're supposed to be, Shield, I don't know, they're whatever they are. I was not a huge fan of them just randomly attacking Javon Evans. Like, what are they, Retribution or something? Like, I don't know. I just have not been a fan.
I jokingly called them last night Ret Shield Bution.
Like, they're so random. Like, they have the Shield mask. It's like, I did not like that. It kind of took me out of it.
I get you. I mean, they've only been around since Vengeance Day. They haven't really done anything to dictate what their mission statement is. Right now, they're just about chaos. We only truly know who one of them is because the commentators pointed it out at Vengeance Day, that being Dion Lennox. And Dion Lennox had been on NXT for a minute, but hadn't really done anything. Kind of a tall, light-skinned guy, used to wear glasses and would always be backstage like reading books when Cedric Alexander or Ashanti the Adonis were doing like backstage stuff. He'd usually get involved there. So I know he's one of the guys because they pointed him out at Vengeance Day. The other three haven't had their identities revealed yet. But I'm waiting for them to do or say something. I'm waiting for them to make a statement, and I think they're going to wait till Stand and Deliver.
Yeah, they definitely gotta do something to make themselves stand out because they're just not a huge fan of them.
Give them time. Give them time. Right now, they're just agents of chaos. And as violent as NXT is, especially that parking lot, I'm waiting to see what happens with these guys. I have hope, but I'm waiting for something more.
Okay. So let's get the Culling promo.
Yes.
And they're basically talking about, I guess, the Tony D'Angelo family here. Like, Shawn Spears brings up the fact that they took the title, but now they're going to take their heart. And it was just, I'm not entirely sure what their group is about exactly.
I'm still trying to figure out also. Again, I didn't really get to hear the promo because the volume was down and I haven't gone back to rewatch it. But ever since Izzy Dame turned to join these guys when Ridge fought Tony in the cage, I've been even more intrigued. The only one I don't really care is this Nico dude who's part of the team. But I like Shawn Spears. I like the cult leader vibe that he's kind of bringing to this. It reminds me very much of like Joe Gacy and the Schism and that little cult that they had going on NXT, which would make Izzy the Ava and Jensen and Nico would be the grizzled young vets. If we're going with that analogy here. But I really liked Jensen when he was with Briggs. I liked him even more when he was trying to find his footing after dissolving that team. And I'm curious to see where they're going to go from here because I could see almost like an evolution takeover of them with Izzy getting the North American Championship and then Nico and Briggs as the tag champions.
You said evolution. I immediately thought of when they turned on Randy Orton.
Hey, it happened. And then it's just a matter of what do they mean by taking the heart?
Yeah.
You know, the first thing I think of is I think of Rizzo. Because Rizzo has kind of been that anchor for the D'Angelo family. Stacks would be too obvious considering the fact that he's already kind of up in his feelings about costing Tony D. So for Stacks to turn, it wouldn't be that shocking. Luca, like I pointed out, he's kind of doing his thing on Evolve as an extension. So again, that would make sense, but it wouldn't be too shocking. But Rizzo, I think that would hit Tony D the hardest.
It sounds like it would, based on everything you said.
This is what happens when you watch it every week, girl. Just saying.
Yeah, good luck with that. All right. So next, but certainly not least, we get an Eddy Thorpe interview, and he's just talking about Trick Williams and about their battleground underground match, and about how he's like the king of the underground. And he makes reference to Trick Williams choking, just like the New York Knicks. And then, brawl breaks out between Trick Williams and Eddy Thorpe. So it seems like their feud is not over.
No, it
Since the
will be
last time.
after the underground match. That'll be the exclamation point, and I believe that's next Tuesday.
All right. You think Trick Williams goes on to face Oba Femi for that rematch at Stand and Deliver?
I don't know because I feel like we've been there, done that. I feel like Trick needs to go somewhere else. What? I don't know, but I've been seeing this darkness come out of Trick. I'd kind of like to see him explore that darker side a little bit more.
Right. I think it would be interesting for him to explore that darkness in him, like you said.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Well, I guess that's it since we talked about the main event. So let's go from 1 to Sean Spears' perfect 10. What would you rank the show?
I'm going to give it a 9.
A 9?
Yeah, it was a damn good episode. I mean, like I was telling you off camera, it was such a good episode that we got one of our other contributors to the Simply Reliable Studios to say they're going to start watching the specials and the PLEs. So the fact that we were able to rope another person in to kind of at least give it the schedule you give it, I feel like that kind of shows how solid of a show this was. The only thing we can really nitpick about is the fact that the main event wasn't longer, and we kind of already explored the reasons why that was. If they had both been healthy, if Giulia was healthy, it probably would have been like a 20-minute match. But it wasn't as long because she's supposedly going in injured. So you can't really fault them for that at the end of the day.
I give it an 8.5. I do agree with what you said about the main event. I can't fault them for them having such a short main event if Giulia is injured. But I give it an 8.5 because I really didn't care for that group to attack Javon Evans. If that specific spot wouldn't have happened, I probably would have given it a 9. But I just didn't care for it.
At least it happened after the match, and the match wasn't decided by that. If they had attacked and cost Javon the match, or the match got thrown out, I might have felt some kind of way like you did and maybe even knocked it down to an 8. But the fact that it happened after the match to kind of further their introduction angle, I'm okay with it. Again, I watch it every week. I'm kind of have an idea what they're trying to do with them. So for a casual viewer that doesn't watch every week, I could see why you would be turned off by it. Mm-hmm. But for someone like me that does watch every week, we're still waiting to see like what's really behind this, why are they doing this, and each week could be that explanation. So I'm okay with it.
I see. All right. Well, with that being said, where can people find you and what do you have coming out?
Lots and lots of watch alongs. We're going to be doing a watch along tomorrow for Impact, as it being the go home show to Sacrifice. We're going to do a watch along on Friday for Sacrifice. We're doing a watch along on Saturday for House of Glory, which is going to feature the debut of Mercedes Monet on House of Glory. It's also got the debut of Indy Hartwell for House of Glory. Private Party's going to be on the card. Danhausen's going to be on the card. Zilla Fatu's going to be on the card. So lots of cool stuff over there. We're going to be checking that out. Of course, Saturday Shenanigans at 11 Eastern, 8 Pacific on Saturday as we do our 90s karaoke. Sunday, Stat Boy is going to be doing a watch along for Selection Sunday as they reveal what the March Madness brackets are going to be for NCAA college basketball. So he's going to be doing that. And then I think we have a little bit of a break after that as far as watch alongs go, thankfully. But you can find me on X and Blue Sky at ROWJJ Williams, on Instagram, The Renegade JJ Williams, and on YouTube at Casa D18 Studios. Also, want to tell all your viewers, go to Rage of Wrestling on YouTube, all one word. Subscribe to our buddy Walter. He's currently at 113 subscribers, and his wife has said that if he gets to 200, she will send him to WrestleMania in New Orleans next year for a month. And he can bring somebody
Wow.
from the Simply Reliable Studios with him.
Wow. Wow.
So, want to get him to 200 so he can go to Mania next year.
That's quite the motivation.
Right? And I mean, he's only 87 away. So I know you're over 1,000 subscribers. You keep growing. You know, we helped you get to the 1,000 mark, and you've kept growing from there. So if we can get some of your subs to go over and subscribe to him, it'll help him get there.
I'm sure he'll get there.
I hope so, man. I really want him to get there. I want to see him get there by Mania, and with all the traffic and stuff everyone's going to be doing for wrestling, I think it's possible. Just got to keep spreading the word.
Yeah, for sure. All right, and as for yours truly, you can follow me on Twitter or X, whatever you call it these days, at _. I talk Raw, SmackDown, occasionally AEW Dynamite, and of course TNA Impact. I go live every Monday, occasionally Wednesdays, Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. And for all things TNA, catch me every Thursday on Body Slam. I do have my Topps trading cards unboxing coming out next Tuesday, so that should be fun. And I'm also working on a video about Diva Talk, so like Power Rangers, make sure you keep an eye out for that. But with that being said, thank you guys all so much for watching and for the continued support. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Make sure you hit that bell so you can notify whenever I go live or release a new video. And if I don't see you guys tomorrow on Body Slam, I'll definitely see you guys back here Friday. Bye!